Hello everyone and welcome back to the Football Psych YouTube channel, where today I'm not at a football stadium unfortunately, but if I just spin around, there is a yacht there, so we can pretend it's Abramovich's, and that links to football enough. So today we're going to be talking about the coach-athlete relationship, and more importantly how different managers implement different styles really, and the effect that has on the team. But before we get into that, make sure you click the like button, subscribe if you're new around here. We're nearly at 100 subscribers, which is crazy. Thank you for the support, and click the notification bell so you don't miss an upload. It would be rude not to. Now that's done, let's talk about football. It's fairly obvious that the relationship between a coach and an athlete is very important, but just how important is it? Without a relationship being established, a coach has no foundations to work with. Some coaches opt for the autocratic approach, a disciplinarian style where they set the rules and there is very little room for players to contribute new ideas. The coach lays down the law and keeps their relationships purely professional. Although a coach may be respected by adopting this approach, this creates an environment where athletes feel they have no input. They don't feel they have a voice. Therefore, when something goes wrong, for example, they're in a bad run of form, players may not feel equipped to take ownership and responsibility, therefore struggling to find a solution to the problem. One of the most high-profile autocratic coaches was Sir Alex Ferguson. Now, during his time at Manchester United, he very much controlled what happened behind the scenes. There didn't seem to be much input from the players, but crucially, they all bought into the process, which is fundamental to success. It's important to note that just by being authoritative doesn't lead to success alone. Perhaps the most vital element of players buying into a coach's philosophy is respect. If players respect a coach, then you are halfway to a winning formula. Now, a lot of players probably didn't like Sir Alex, but they all respected him, and it was this respect that allowed him to build relationships with his players. He was the boss. A lot of players, including the likes of Ronaldo, still call him the boss today. And that says it all. Players will go to war for him. They would give everything for the shirt because they truly believed in the process. But control can manifest itself in different forms. Take, for instance, the fine list that Lampard enforced when he came to Chelsea. A way to impose his power as a means to keep his players in check. Now, he's actually spoken about this a lot since, talking of the success it had as an idea, and the players understanding the need for discipline, and actually how they bought into the idea. So that's an autocratic style of coaching discussed, but what about democratic leadership? Now, this is more of a level playing field. The coach allows players to contribute to the process, encouraging new ideas in order to give them a sense of purpose. The players have a voice, and this leads to relationships being formed quicker, as there is less of a gap in the hierarchy of the club between the coach and the athletes. This brings about more informal interaction between the two parties, but may not always be the recipe for success. Yes, it's good to break down barriers sometimes, but the coach is the figurehead for the team's performance and should always be the one leading the way. An example of a democratic coach is JURGEN Klopp. He gives his athletes ownership and responsibility. He makes use of collaboration to make everyone feel a part of the club, even those who are on the bench. He keeps everyone happy in the camp. This was evident when Adam Lallana left the club. Now, he was on the fringe of the squad, barely got any game time, but was really emotional in his first interview after leaving Liverpool, just because of how much he bought into the process, and JURGEN Klopp made him feel a part of his team, even if he wasn't playing on a week-by-week basis. And it's so clear to see just what the Liverpool squad think of him. They speak so highly of him, demonstrating that a personal, more informal approach can also be conducive to success. It's interesting to see firsthand just how Klopp embraces the father figure type role. He doesn't try to avoid it. Usually that type of informal relationship could be detrimental to the success of a club and actually how players buy into the process, but I think it works the other way. It's one of the most determining factors in their recent success. Both styles use contrasting methods, yet seek to achieve the same outcome, which is ultimately win. But there is a common denominator in any coach, and that is they are no longer just a coach in the modern game, but a sports psychologist as well. It's easy to focus on the impact a coach has on the pitch, but what about off it? After all, that's where they spend the majority of their time with their players, whether it be after training or in a team meeting. Every time they speak and pass on information related to performance, that's ultimately what a psychologist does. Therefore, coaches should be more mindful of the increase in responsibility they have. You could argue that coaches should be better educated about psychology. If it means a couple more % could be squeezed out of the team's performance, that would make it an advantage. The way in which coaches speak to their athletes has a huge influence on the kind of relationships they have with them. I think there has to be a level of transparency in place so players can visualise the process, see it in action if you will. And it's also important that coaches are open and accept responsibility when things go wrong. If you deflect the blame as a coach, then that's the example you're setting to your athletes. You know, a team is a product of the coach in charge. So make sure you're implementing a style that 1, the players buy into, and 2, maximises healthy and positive relationships. Let me know in the comments down below. What style do you think is best? Or do you think a blend of both is needed in the modern game? But that is going to be full time for this video. I hope you did enjoy it, and who knows, maybe you learned something too. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
Been crying so much to the poltergeist, trying to hold on to love, but it's frosty.